Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Wednesday, December 2nd. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Michigan State game is in 3 days, and the game against Michigan is in 10 days. And that Michigan State game is now seeming more and more like it has a chance to really happen. My guest this morning is the man who has been breaking an awful lot of the news to come out of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center this week, Buckeye Scoop's ultimate insider, NevadaBuck. And Nevada, what can you tell us about the latest you're hearing about with testing and what it all means for Saturday?
Well, Tom, first of all, thanks for having me on. Testing obviously has been a real issue for Ohio State. I know fans have been really clamoring to find out how things are going. And what I can say, and we've been putting this on the site the last few days, is that it seems like they've got this under control, whatever type of mini outbreak or whatever you want to call it that they had is under control. It doesn't seem like they're dealing with a rash of new positives. And I think, obviously there's a concern about contact tracing and what that means for people that might have had proximity. But I think in terms of the outbreak, I think the outbreak's under control. And as you said in the introduction, it sounds like the Michigan State game is, I wouldn't say it's all systems go, but certainly all the signs are positive and certainly much more so than 48 hours ago. It looks like we're going to have some football this weekend.
Well, and there was a lot of kind of grumbling about the fact that Ohio State canceled the Illinois game when it didn't technically have to, according to Big Ten rules. That was a decision they made. They weren't comfortable putting guys on an airplane, that it was definitely going to be full of only healthy players. And, obviously they would have liked to have played that game, but for 3 days after that, to still have no additional positive tests, it kind of makes you feel like that probably was the right decision to kind of play it safe and take a little bit of a long view on it.
Yeah. I wasn't sure how I felt about that decision at the time. I got to be honest with you. Now, as I sit down and look at it, with the information that we have today, it certainly seems like the right play. You hate to put your fate in the hands of a Michigan State or a Michigan, because remember, it's not just about our cases or lack of cases or whatever. It's up to them to provide a team as well. But I think it was probably the prudent decision, and clearly the fact that Ohio State returned to the practice field today, which is another piece of information that we'd broken about 24 hours ago, was really a seeming vindication for the medical staff and their decision to shut things down for Ohio State and take a little temporary pause.
Yeah, and that return to the practice field on Tuesday was a very big deal. Ryan Day had said over the weekend that they had to be on the practice field by Thursday in order to be able to get put a representative team on the field this weekend. So to be a couple days ahead of that schedule, that's obviously very good news. The social media posts that they put out though from that practice were a little cryptic. It was very interesting. You generally get the hey, here's a photo of a guy making a great catch, or hey, here's a photo of a pass rusher going up against an offensive lineman, or Justin Fields throwing a pass. And there was 4 photos. One of them was of an interim head coach, Larry Johnson, addressing the team, and he was the only person in the entire shot. And then there were 3 shots, which were basically like the backs of helmets or very soft focus shots, which made it just impossible to identify players. So what did you make of that? What's Ohio State going for there?
Well, obviously they're very concerned about, protecting identities of players and secrecy and not giving any aid and comfort to the enemy that they may be playing against. What I'd say for Ohio State fans is it's going to make for great theater this weekend, because I think you're going to see some guys playing that you haven't seen before. And I think that's going to make for a fascinating game. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity for some guys to step in and maybe play bigger minutes than we would have ever thought that they would have. And welcome to 2020. It's just this crazy year where anything can happen, and I think we're gonna get a glimpse of that this weekend.
Yeah, that's got to be real interesting for Michigan State to go into the game not knowing who they're facing, who's the quarterback, who's the running backs, who are the wide receivers, who's on the offensive line, how many tight ends can play, and then all the same questions on defense, and you're going in essentially blind. It's almost like the first game of the season for Michigan State, where you don't have a clue what they're going to see. What they're really going to see out of Ohio State, which is, if that was by choice for Ohio State, that would be really great. It is not by choice for Ohio State. So yeah, this is this is definitely shaping up to a very, very, very interesting game for Ohio State. But, we're recording this on Tuesday night. So are you more or less confident than you were a day ago that this game actually does get played this weekend?
Way more confident. I mean, when I got the news that they were going to return to the practice field, I just, that was such a huge indicator because as you pointed out, Ryan Day had talked about Thursday being kind of a threshold day. They had to be on the field by Thursday in order to play on Saturday. Well, they got on the field on Tuesday, and that just, they're not doing that if they're dealing with a rash of outbreaks. They're not doing that if they're in the midst of some sort of a super spreader event. They're doing that because they feel like they've got, control of this thing. And, they had done, not only antigen testing, but they've done antibody testing. So I think they've got a pretty good handle on who's had it, who hasn't had it, what's the risk of spreading, who are the contacts. And no, I think I'm much more confident now. Again, you never say never in this year. Things have changed so rapidly, but certainly having a practice today was a gigantic step forward.
And last night was also the release of the second weekly college football playoff rankings. And I will admit I was expecting Ohio State to potentially drop a spot after not playing last weekend. Seemed like one of those things where the committee could add a little drama, add a little spice to the proceedings. And then Ohio State stayed at number 4 because the top of the rankings were entirely unchanged. Alabama, then Notre Dame, Clemson, the Buckeyes in the top 4, Texas A&M, and Florida at 5 and 6. On the media call after the show, committee chairman Gary Barta was asked if there was a minimum number of games a team would need to play in order to be included in the playoff field. He said, quote, "We don't have a set number, but it is a challenge and a problem." And, to me, and that and their current rankings suggest that if the Buckeyes play their next 3 games and win out, they're probably in pretty good shape to make the playoff in virtually any situation outside of maybe the apocalyptic one with 2 SEC and 2 ACC teams, and then if you start missing games, at that point, maybe it gets a little dicier. But, is that your read on kind of where Ohio State stands right now?
Yeah, I'll make it simpler. If Ohio State finishes the year undefeated, regardless of the number of games they play, they will be in the playoff. I will say that. I will say it again. I will say it again tomorrow. I will say it again the next day. An undefeated Ohio State team does not get left out of the playoff. So for all the Ohio State fans fretting about, do we play this week? Do we not play that? I think we've got lots of options. We've got options. If teams cancel, we have options to replace them with other teams. If for some reason we don't qualify for the Big Ten championship game, we'll get a 2 versus 2 matchup. We're going to get games in at some point. And what we need more than anything, frankly, is game reps, because I'm not so worried about making the playoff. I'm worried about what happens once we get to the playoff, because we got some issues. And specifically, we've got issues on the defensive side of the ball that we need to address that have kind of plagued us the whole year. And that's the bigger concern for me. But in terms of getting to the playoff, I'd say if I was a betting man, I am a betting guy. And I would bet anything that Ohio State, an undefeated Ohio State team, is in the college football playoff in some capacity.
Yeah, it's interesting because this would normally be Big Ten championship game week if it was a normal season. And, you look at Ohio State's schedule right now, and they have played 4 games. So they are as experienced as they normally would be in like late September. And here we are, it's December. So, yeah, that is going to be interesting to see what a kind of an Ohio State team with, 6 or 7 games under its belt looks like in the college football playoff, as, playing a team that maybe has 10, 11, 12 games. That can make a difference in terms of a young team and player development. And one of the interesting moments on the college football playoff ranking show came when Kirk Herbstreit started talking about the COVID outbreak that shut down practice at Michigan this week. And I'm just going to give you his quote. The exact quote was, "I still think Michigan waves the white flag and potentially avoids playing Ohio State next week." And then he came on a couple minutes later, said he had heard from a number of coaches who thought teams were doing that to avoid games, or they were, thought they were going to get blown out. And, if Michigan can't play because they have too many positive cases, that's one thing. But the idea to me that Michigan would skip the game voluntarily, that just seems pretty far-fetched. That seems pretty uncharacteristic for, what you think of as like a Jim Harbaugh team. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think, what I would say is let's take it one step at a time. Ohio State, who has everything to play for, who has got the best medical protocols in the world, and, has guys on red alert, somehow managed to have a mini outbreak within the team, enough that it caused them to miss the game. Okay. Now I go to Michigan, where the guys have got nothing to play for. Their coach is gone at the end of the year. Most of them don't like their coach or are planning on transferring out. So how diligent are those guys going to be about not contracting the virus? And if that happens, all it takes is one or two or three. And if that happens, then bang, they've got a mini outbreak and the game's gone. If that's a chance for their guys in the back of their mind to kind of screw Ohio State or to somehow get over on them or to avoid taking a 100-0 beating, I wouldn't put it past them at all. Honestly, it was my first thought in terms of, do you think Harbaugh would consciously say, no, we don't? But no, I know. I don't think he's too big of a competitor to do that. But would the guys subconsciously do that? Yeah, I think it's conceivable. I think there's a lot of validity to that. And I frankly, I'd be surprised if they show up and play that game. Again, am I betting it? I would bet almost anything that they won't show up to that game.
Wow, that would be a year without an Ohio State-Michigan game. That would be. I mean, there have been some other rivalries that have not gotten played, but man, that will set the earth wobbling on its axis. I think if there's no Ohio State-Michigan game this year, and we have had.
It would be crazy. It would be crazy. It's been a crazy year though. So why? Yeah, I mean, what the Capper to a crazy year.
Yeah, and this has been a crazy week too, and. During that crazy week, as we have been breaking all sorts of information on exactly what's going on inside the walls of the Woody Hayes, we have added a ton of new members this week. People have been joining to get the inside scoop on what exactly is happening and what it means for the Buckeyes in the coming weeks and for the rest of the season. And I keep seeing people on the board post stuff like, wow, this is really as good as you guys have been saying. And it's like, yes, we're not lying, I promise. So Nevada, let people know people who might be thinking about joining Buckeye Scoop know what they can expect and why they should join the site.
Well, it's really, it's been humbling. This last 10 days is just, we have seen an absolute avalanche of new members, and it's almost hard to kind of keep up. I think people, they log in, they're not really sure what to expect, and what you're getting is you're getting quality information about Ohio State. You're getting information that you're not getting anywhere else. You have the ability to post any question and get it answered almost in real time by a staff of 9 people that are really dedicated to Ohio State football and Ohio State sports, and talk and commune with other like-minded people. So it's been fabulous. I'd like to sit here and try to pimp the site and really beg people to subscribe, but we really don't have to do that. Our site's really, it kind of speaks for itself. And the great thing about a site like this is the more members, the better the site. The better the site, the more members. So it's kind of feeding on itself right now. And I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've never had as much fun as I do logging in every day to the site. And that's genuine. And people that have been on the site that have been following my stuff, or that have been, they know that's the truth. And it's just fun. I'm having a ball. I know people are having a ball, and it's a great group. And if for everybody who's listening, who's thinking about it, come join the Scoop family. Try it for 1 month. It's $12.99. That's what, it's like, 40 cents a day. And, I guarantee you, once you try it, you won't. People just don't cancel, because it's entertainment, and it's information, and it's an awful lot of fun.
Well, and if you join right now today, that first month of membership will include the Michigan State game, the Michigan game, the Big Ten championship game, the Rose Bowl or the Sugar Bowl, whatever, Ohio college football playoff semifinal.
Early signing day.
Yeah, early signing day. I mean, there is. If you are looking to join for a month, this would not be a bad month to do it. And I have mentioned this before, but also, I always have people asking me, so what do you want for Christmas? And I was like, I'm a grown up. If I want something, I can just buy it for myself. I don't need anything. Well, this would be a great thing to ask for. Get a yearly membership to Buckeye Scoop, or get a month right now, and then, get a month, look at it for 2 good days and go, oh, wow, they weren't kidding. This really is as good as they were saying. And then ask for it once you, ask someone to extend your membership for an annual membership. I mean, this is a very, very good time to be doing this, both in terms of the amount of news and amount of interesting stuff happening right now, and also getting someone else to pay for it. This seems like a really win-win situation to me. So you can sign up at BuckeyeScoop.com. And Nevada, thank you for joining us. This has been, a whirlwind of a couple weeks, but you can always tell, like, when you're living through a week that you're going to remember for a long time, 10 years ago, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, this is going to be one of these times that people are talking about in Ohio State history. It has been real interesting to have a front row seat to watch it all play out. So thank you for your part in keeping everyone informed, including myself. And you can also check out all of our great podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud. Just search Buckeye Scoop to find all of those. You can subscribe right there on whatever app you choose and leave us a 5-star rating and review while you're at it. Thank you guys for listening. Have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow.